All right, this video is over conic sections and talking about circles of the conic sections. So it says a conic section is formed by the intersection of a plane and a right circular cone. The angle of the plane creates the type of conic section. Label each conic section below. Okay, so if you have a plane that is just horizontal like this, it creates a circle of the conic section. Okay, if it's tilted at an angle, it creates an ellipse. If it's vertical over here, then it creates a parabola. And if it's if you have two cones back to back like this, it creates a hyperbola. Okay, so the circles, which is what we're talking about today, the standard form of the equation of a circle is x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared, where hk is the center of the circle and r is the radius. Okay, so it says, when we're writing equations of circles, so given the center and radius, we're just going to take this information and we're going to write the equation. So if our h is -4, you plug that in, then that's going to be x plus 4 squared. Our k is 6, so we have plus, and then we have y minus 6 squared, and then our radius is 4, so 4 squared is 16. So that is our equation of our circle. Okay, same thing on this one. So if you have 0, you don't actually have to write anything for the h. You can just say x squared. And then plus, we have -2, so it's going to be y plus 2 squared equals, our radius is 7, so 7 squared is 49. Okay, on this one, we have x minus 1 squared plus, we have -5, so it's going to be y plus 5 squared. And then the square root of 10 squared is just 10. Okay, this next one, we have x minus 9 squared plus, we have 0 for our k, so that's just going to be y squared, equals the square root, of 5 square root of 3 to the power of 2. The whole thing is, well, you have 5 squared is 25, and then the square root and squared cancel each other out, so that's 25 times 3, which is 75. And you can actually square that like that and type it in the calculator. You're going to get the same thing, okay? So if you are given a graph, we want to be able to write an equation from the graph. So first you've got to pick out what the center is, and then you've got to pick out the radius. So our center here is -3, 1, 2, 3, 4. Our center is -3, -4, and our radius, you just count from the center out to the side, is 2. So that means that our equation here is going to be x plus 3 squared plus y plus 4 squared equals 4, because 2 squared is 4. Okay, on this one, our center is 0, 1. And our radius is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So our equation here is going to be x squared plus y minus 1 squared equals 36. Okay, let's flip over to the other side. If you are given the center and an endpoint on the circle, so recall the distance formula, which is d equals the square root of x2 minus x1 squared plus y2 minus y1 squared, and also the midpoint formula, which is x1 plus x2 divided by 2 and y1 plus y2 divided by 2. Okay, so if you are given the center point and an endpoint, you can find the radius because you can find the distance between those two numbers. Okay, so our radius on this, because we already have our center, but we just need to know what our radius is. So we're going to use the distance formula. So our radius is going to be, we have -4 minus -2 squared plus 12 minus 6 squared. Okay, so then that is going to equal, well, -4 minus -2 is -4 plus 2, which is -2 squared, plus 12 minus 6 is 6 squared. Okay, so -2 squared is 4, and 6 squared is 36. 4 plus 36 is 40, so we have the square root of 40, okay, which we can actually just leave it like that. That is our radius is the square root of 40, okay? So then our equation is going to be x plus 2 squared plus y minus 6 squared equals, well, the square, our radius squared is just 40. That's why we want to just go ahead and leave it in the radical format like that, and that is going to be your equation. Okay, for this other one, so our radius here, we have -1 minus -4 squared plus -5 minus -7 squared. So -1 minus -4, it's -1 plus 4, which is 3 squared, plus -5 minus -7, which is -5 plus 7, which is 2 squared. 3 squared is 9, and 2 squared is 4. And 9 plus 4 is 13. So we have the square root of 13. Okay, so our equation is going to be x plus 4 squared plus y plus 7 squared equals 13. Okay, number 9, so we have radius equals the square root of 7 minus 0 squared plus -2 minus 4 squared. 7 minus 0 squared is 7. -2 and -4 is -6. 7 squared is 49. -6 squared is 36. 49 plus 36 is 85. So we have the square root of 85 as our radius. So we have x squared plus y minus 4 squared equals 85. Okay, and then this next one, our radius, we have -4 minus 3 squared plus 10 minus -3 squared. Okay, so then that's going to be -4 and -3 is -7. 10 minus -3 is 13. -7 squared is 49. 13 squared is 169. 49 plus 169 is 218. So we have the square root of 218. Okay, so then that turns into x minus 3 squared plus y plus 3 squared equals 218. Okay, all right, another way that you can do it is if you are given the endpoints of a diameter, okay? So if you're given 2 endpoints right here, and remember the diameter is just 2 radii together, so it's just from one side of the circle to the other side. That remember the center is directly in the middle, okay? So you can, in order to find out the radius, you can find the distance from one endpoint to the other endpoint and then divide that by 2 gives you the radius, okay? And then to find out what the center is, you can find the midpoint between those 2 points, okay? So first, let's find the radius. So we need to find the distance from one endpoint to the other endpoint, okay? So our distance here is going to be 5 minus -1 squared plus 6 minus 8 squared. 5 minus -1 is 6. 6 minus 8 is -2. 6 squared is 36. -2 squared is 4. Okay, then that is going to be the square root of 40. Okay, let's go ahead and simplify that radical down. The largest perfect square that goes into 40 evenly is 4 times 10, so that's going to equal 2 square root of 10. This is the diameter, okay? To find the radius, you want to divide this by 2. So that means our radius, if you divide this whole thing by 2, the 2's cancel, our radius is just going to be the square root of 10, okay? So then to find our center, we need to do the midpoint between those. So you say midpoint equals, that's x1 which is -1, plus x2, which is 5, divided by 2. And then y1, which is 8, plus y2, which is 6, and divided by 2. Okay, so -1 plus 5 is 4. 4 divided by 2. 8 plus 6 is 14. 14 divided by 2. So our midpoint, which is going to be our center, is 2, 7. Okay, so we have our center is 2, 7, and our radius is the square root of 10. Okay, so our equation is going to be x minus 2 squared plus y minus 7 squared equals 10. Okay, same thing on number 12. So first we want to do the distance between them. So we have the square root of -8 minus 0 squared plus 3 minus -3 squared. Okay, so that equals the square root. We have -8 minus 0 is -8 squared, and then 3 minus -3 is 6 squared. -8 squared is 64, and 6 squared is 36. Okay, so that is the square root is 100. I'm sorry, 64 plus 36 is 100, so we have the square root of 100, so our diameter equals 10, which means that our radius equals 5. Okay, so then to find the center, we have midpoint, which is 0 plus -8 divided by 2, and -3 plus 3 divided by 2. So we have -8 divided by 2 and 0 divided by 2. So our center is -4, 0. Okay, so our equation here is going to be, we have x plus 4 squared plus y squared equals radius squared, so 5 squared is 25. Okay, 13. Well, okay, I'm gonna go. I think y'all are probably understanding this now. There's nothing special about the next couple of ones, so let's just go ahead and skip over to graphing circles. Okay, so graphing circles, so this just sums up what we just talked about on the standard form of the equation of a circle. So we have x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared. The hk is the center and r is the radius. Okay, so it says identify the center and radius of each circle, then graph. So they gave us the equation here, so we're just working opposite of what we did before. Okay, so our center is going to be -2, 5. And our radius, you just take the square root of this, which is 3. Okay, so our center is -2, 5. So we have 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then we have a radius of 3. So going out every direction, we want to put a point going 3 out. And then you just connect it as best as you can to create your circle. Okay, our center on this one is going to be 7, 0. And our radius, the square root of 1 is 1. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then 1 out. And so it's going to look like this. Okay. Number 3, so it says write the equation in standard form, identify the center and radius, and then graph. Okay, so these equations are not in standard form. So the first thing you want to do to get them in standard form, which means that you want to get rid of, if there's something in front of the x's and y's and stuff, you want to get rid of that. So we're going to factor a 5 out of this entire thing. Okay, so 5x squared divided by 5 is x squared. 5y squared divided by 5 is y squared, and 80 divided by 5 is 16. Now it's in standard form. So now our center is 0, 0, and our radius, the square root of 16, is 4. So we start here at the origin, and then count out 4 in all directions. And then draw it as best as you can. I know they don't always look the greatest. There you go. Okay, number 4, to get this in standard form, we've got to add x squared over to the other side. So we have x squared plus y plus 3 squared equals 25. Now it's in standard form. So our center is going to be 0, -3. Our radius, the square root of 25, is 5. So 0, 1, 2, -3, and then count at 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It'll look like this. Okay, all right, let's flip over to the other side. Okay, we want to first, let's go ahead and move this over to the left and then add that over to the right. So then it becomes 2 times x minus 1 squared plus 2 times y plus 6 squared equals a positive 8. Because we added 8 over and we added this whole thing this way. Now we want to try to get rid of these 2, so we're going to divide the entire thing by 2. So it turns into x minus 1 squared plus y plus 6 squared equals 4. So our center now is going to be 1, -6. Our radius, the square root of 4, is 2. So we have 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then count out 2 in all directions, like so. Okay, examples with completing the square. Okay, so if we want to complete the square here, let's see, we want to get the x's together and try to get the y's together. Okay, so first we have x squared plus 6x, and I'm going to leave a little gap there, and then we're going to put the y's together, and then, which there's nothing else with the y, so just y squared right there, and I'm going to move that -5 over to the other side. Okay, so we're completing the square with the x's right here because we want to be able to factor that and get it into where it's in a parentheses. So remember, on complete the square, you take your b, which is 6 here, and divide it by 2. So 6 divided by 2 is 3. Then we're going to square that, which is 9. So we're going to add 9 here, and we're also going to add 9 on the other side of the equation. Okay, so now what multiplies to get 9 and adds to get 6 is 3. So we have x plus 3 squared. Okay, this plus y squared, we're just going to pull it down. And then over here you have -5 plus 9 is 4. Now it's in the correct equation format. It's in standard form. Okay, so our center is going to be -3, 0. And our radius, you take the square root of 4 and you get 2. So you have 1, 2, 3 right there. And then we have 2, 2, 2, 2. So it's going to look like that. Okay, number 7, same thing. So we want to get our x's together and we want to get our y's together. So you have an x squared right here, and then we have plus y squared. This 6y we need to move over, so you have 2y minus 6y, which is -4y. I'm going to leave a gap because we're not doing complete the square with the x, we're doing it with the y here. So I'm going to leave a gap, and we still have that 32 on this side. Okay, so we have -4 divided by 2 is -2. Square it, it's a +4. So we want to add 4 on both sides. So this x squared, we're just going to pull it down. Now we're done with it. What multiplies to give you 4 and adds to give you -4 is -2. So we have y minus 2 squared equals 32 plus 4 is 36. Now it's in the correct format. Okay, so our center is 0, 2, and our radius is 6. So 0, 2, and then 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so it's going to be like this. Okay, all right, and then the last one here. So get our x's together. So x squared plus 14x, make a gap, and get our y's together. So we have y squared, we've got to subtract 2y over, equals -41. Okay, so, oh, I forgot my little gap right here. But we need to actually complete the square twice on this one. We're going to do it with the x's, and we're also going to do it with the y's. So with the x's, we have 14 divided by 2 is 7. Square that, you have 49. So we want to add 49 on both sides. Okay. So to complete this part, what multiplies to give you 49 adds to give you 14 is 7. So you have x plus 7 squared. Okay, then we need to do the y part. So negative 2 divided by 2 is negative 1. Square it, you have positive 1. So we want to add 1 on both sides. Okay, so what multiplies to give you 1 and adds to give you negative 2 is negative 1. So we have y minus 1 squared equals. Over here, we're just adding all that together. So negative 41 plus 49 is 8. 8 plus 1 is 9. Now it's in the correct format. So our center is negative 7, 1. Our radius is 3. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1. And then 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Okay. All right, so this is circles. This is the first conic section called circles, and we are writing equations and graphing.